2006, and the headline is Jesus Christ to be Honorary King of Poland. And it goes on, Poland, lawmakers have drawn up a resolution naming Jesus Christ as the Honorary King of Poland, but have failed to win support from the country's powerful Roman Catholic Church. Isn't that interesting? This is very interesting. You can't have Jesus Christ as your king in European Union, but you can have the Pope's statue goes up in France despite protests, November 28, 2006. Here you see the Pope's statue in bronze, even though the people 500 marched to not have this statue go up because French law says separating church from the state. And I put not. It's kind of interesting that you can't have Jesus Christ as your king, but you can have the Pope's statue put up in France. This is at December 23, 2006. Bono to receive honorary knighthood. The Irish rocker is going to receive the knighthood honor. So the scriptures say that everything leads back to Babylon. So here in CNN, February 13, 2002, says Giuliani joins a distinguished club. It says England, when Rudolph Giuliani receives his honorary knighthood from Queen Elizabeth II on Wednesday, he joined an exclusive club with membership dating back to what? Ancient Rome. What doesn't lead back to Rome? So now whenever you hear the word knighthood, now it tells you where the roots come from is ancient Rome. This is very key right here. Pay attention. Dagon, their Babylonian god. If you read Judges in the Old Testament, chapter 16, verse 23, and it says, and the lords of the Philistines gather them together to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon, their god. And so what I did is I went down to the Webster Dictionary, and it says, what's the definition? Dagon, little fish. Dagon equals a fish. The fish god, the national god of the Philistines. This idol had a body of a fish with the head and hands of a man. It was an Assyrian Babylonian deity. So now we know that that's a Babylonian deity. So if we go up here, we can see here's the old Babylonian deity with the fish head. And here you see the Pope Benedict with his fish hat showing you that he is the priest of Babylon. Here it is, walking in darkness at noonday. These symbols are right in our face. And here you see the priest of Babylon, like the scriptures to warn us about. Here you see the Pope wearing that represents Dagon, the Babylonian deity. This is at November 11th, 2006, Kissinger, Pope's advisor. Isn't that interesting that all these New World Order characters are all linked with the Pope? This is the Capitol building at Washington, D.C. And I also wanted to look up the word capital, what that word actually means. And also each state has this capital, which looks like a woman's boob here. And we'll look that word up now. Well, this is what it says out of the Webster Dictionary. I looked up the word capital, and it's Latin for capitulum. The temple of Jupiter. Now, Jupiter was the ancient god of ancient Rome. The temple of Jupiter. Isn't that interesting? At Rome on the Capitoline Hill. And this is right out of the Webster Dictionary. A building in which a state legislature body meets, the building in which the functions of state government are carried out, and the building at which the United States Congress meets in Washington. So I looked up the word Capitoline Hill. It's the highest of the 7 hills of Rome. The English word capital derives from Capitoline Hill. And this is right in the scriptures. If you read, it says that this Roman church sits on the 7 hills. And on top of the 7 hills is the Capitol, which represents the temple of Jupiter, the ancient god of ancient Rome. Isn't that fascinating? Interesting to note, the temple of Jupiter's, here you got Vatican, Rome, and you got Washington, D.C. The headquarter buildings mirror each other. Here you got the Capitol, and you got the obelisk Nimrod, which is Nimrod is Baal, the obelisk, and the front is male, and you got female in the background. And it's interesting that both Vatican, Rome, and Washington, D.C. mirror each other. So now I had to look up the word pontiff. That's another name for the Pope. And if you look at the ancient Roman Pontifex Maximus, and it ties with the modern Roman Pontifex Maximus, and you go down here to the encyclopedia, and you see here that the Pontifex Maximus were held by the different Caesars from 1533 of ancient Rome all the way up to Caesar in 12 BC. And then in this encyclopedia says, then it was held by Pope Gregory I to the present, held by the popes. And so you hear ancient Rome of Pontifex Maximus with modern. And so here you got Pontiff, short for Pontifex. I like this quote: the beginning of wisdom is the admission of ignorance. And here you see the signing of the Third Reich. Very few people ask what the First Reich is or the Second Reich. And anyway, I looked up the word concordant because that's what they signed. And so I looked up in the dictionary under concordant, and this is what it says: an agreement between the Pope and a government. So I looked up the encyclopedia and looked up concordant in the encyclopedia, and this is what it says: an agreement specifically between the Pope and the temporal authority of the state, a contract between church and state. There you go. Now you know why the Founding Fathers said that they did not want to have church and state, because they saw what happened in Europe all those years with the Roman Catholic Church in bed with the European kings. This is interesting, out of an old history book. Here it looks like the Nazis are having a prayer circle, and the three fingers salute, and you can see the prayer circles they're having and initiating the new troops. And of course, what are they swearing allegiance to? They're swearing allegiance to the Reich, which is the Holy Roman Empire, which is a contract between church and state, making the Catholic Church the government of God of that state. It's very interesting, out of that same history book. Here you see the people wait in food lines, and I thought I'd read this to you because this is fascinating. It says, in 100,000 Reichsmarks, which 2 months previously would have bought a house, 2 months later it could buy a loaf of bread. So that's why Brigham Young and everybody says, get your food storage, get it now, because one day a loaf of bread will be able to buy you a house. Just flipping through the news, this didn't surprise me. The Roman Catholic mayor of Bethlehem. So isn't it interesting, as you start doing some digging, you find out that mayors and people in high positions of government around the world are Roman Catholic. This is Coronado Naval Base in San Diego, United States. And here, this is Google. You can find out for yourself. Go on the internet and blow this picture up. And right on the U.S. Naval Base, you have a SWAT sticker, or the symbol of Babylon, from the sky. Isn't that very interesting? And I picked this up at the gun show. There was these veterans of foreign wars of the United States, and you can see all along who they've been fighting for. Of course, it's Rome. They've been fighting for the Roman Empire. Also, it goes back to Babylon, because there's a Babylon sun symbol. I don't know, once you're aware of what's going on, look at your credit cards. The American Express business, and look who they have here. They have a Roman soldier on your American Express credit card. So just look around, you can see the symbols of Rome everywhere. Now we're going to back up into history and find out who really killed President Abraham Lincoln, who assassinated him. And so I'll show you a few photographs here. This is the book that has the trials of Abraham Lincoln in it, that's basically suppressed from the public because the Jesuits do not want you to read true history of who was behind the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And inside the book, this is the man here who wrote the book. This is the general who sat on the military commission that trialed and executed 8 of Abraham Lincoln's assassination people. And he's standing right here. As you flip the book right here, you can see his name is Thomas M. Harris. He's a brigadier general, and the book was written in 1897. And so this book was heavily suppressed, and it's recommended reading. When the Jesuits take an oath of office, they swear to kill their enemies by the poisonous cup or by the leaden bullet. And if you look at all the presidents of the United States, they were all either killed by the poisonous cup or the leaden bullet. And here's the first president that was assassinated. It was President Henry Harris in 1841. And here you got President Zachary Taylor. He was also poisoned and killed in 1850. And then here are 2 presidents that were assassinated by the leaden bullet. This one here is James Garfield in 1881. And also over here is President William